Madam Mayor, we are now live.
Hey, welcome. Good evening. This is the Monday, May 4th City Council meeting of the City of Keystone Heights. We welcome you. We'll begin this evening with the invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Our invocation this evening is being offered by Pastor Daniel Finley of First Baptist Church. Pastor Finley.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's begin in prayer. Father, we come to you, and again, we thank you for the opportunity that we can gather through this technology in a time like this. Lord, I continue to pray for the many people that have to make some very important decisions in regards to how we reopen and when we do that, how that happens. So, Lord, even from the national level all the way down to the local level, Lord, we ask for wisdom, that you would give us clarity to know the ways in which to go. Father, we pray again as well for our local businesses that have been shouldering a tremendous burden during this season. Lord, I pray that as they begin to open their doors back up, Lord, that we will come in a way that is both safe and productive. And Lord, I pray that all that can be done, even here in this city council meeting, Lord, from the local level, give some guidance, give some leadership. Lord, I pray you would bless our council with your wisdom. Lord, that tonight's meeting will be good for this community, good for this world as well. We ask this all in your name. Amen.
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 All right, and if you would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the
to the flag of the
United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Thank you. Ms. Rakowski, will you call roll for us, please?
Mayor Lake.
Here.
Vice Mayor Hart.
Here.
Councilman Brown. Councilman Brown. Councilman Brown, can you say here one more time, please? You're not connected. Again, please. I'll fix that in just a second. Councilman Brown is here with no audio. Councilwoman Kelly?
Here.
Can you all hear her okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Councilman Peoples?
Here.
You have a quorum, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Our first order of business this evening is to continue to extend the local state of emergency. This is, we extended it on the 20th. We need to extend it again. Is there a motion to pass?
I'll make a motion to pass.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I have a first and a second to extend the local state of emergency. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. Ms. Rakowski, is there any public comment card?
I have no public comment at this time, but Madam Mayor, real quick, Councilman Brown, we're getting into your computer right now, okay? Okay. Go ahead, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. We have one proclamation this evening. I'm tabling another. We'll start with the proclamation for the Key Club. Welcome to Ms. Walker. Ms. Walker, how are you? Welcome to the meeting.
Thank you. I'm doing well. Thanks.
Ms. Walker is here virtually to accept the proclamation on behalf of the Key Club. And let me get into my computer very quickly. Go into sleep. So this proclamation is in reference to a project that Key Club took on. And so the proclamation reads, whereas Key Club is a youth club from Keystone Heights High School and known for its vibrant leadership, membership, and service. And whereas Key Club is sponsored by the Lake Region Kiwanis Club, a civic organization in Keystone Heights. And whereas its leadership approached the city to volunteer to paint the retaining walls at Keystone Beach. And whereas its leadership team provided all materials to cover the cost of the painting project. And whereas on January 25th, members of Key Club gathered at Keystone Beach to paint the retaining walls in bright purple ahead of the 4th of July celebration so the park will look fresh for visitors and residents alike. Whereas the City of Keystone Heights is very appreciative of these efforts to improve our community park. And whereas the City of Keystone Heights is enriched by the volunteer spirit demonstrated by these students. Now, therefore, be it resolved that by the authority vested in me as mayor of the City of Keystone Heights and on behalf of the City Council, I, Karen Lake, hereby proclaim Monday, May 4th, 2020 as Key Club Day. Is there a motion to pass the proclamation?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I heard Ms. Marion, that's 5-0.
I would like to, excuse me, Madam Mayor, I'd like to commend Michelle Walker for all of what she has done with the Key Club over the years. I think the Key Club has been in existence now for 10 years. Is that correct, Michelle? Yeah, it does a lot of good things, and the Kiwanis Club is very proud of you guys.
We all are. Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor Hart. Anyone else like to make comments? Ms. Walker, would you like to make any comment?
Yes, if I could, just thank you so much for acknowledging what these kids do. They're an amazing group of kids, as you know, and it's really been an honor and a privilege to work with them and see them develop as student leaders. So it's just nice to see them recognized for their hard work. But, you know, they do it without any recognition. You know, they do it because they're servant leaders. So I'm really proud of them. And this, in particular, this group of seniors that we have this year, they're an exceptional group. So, but thank you for recognizing them in this way. We really, it's a very nice honor. Thanks.
And so, Ms. Walker, what will happen is when we will print the proclamation out and I'll sign it, and then I'll make sure you get a copy of it at the school.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? Thank you. The proclamation for Enoch Nadler, I need to table it because I didn't know we would be out of our building for as long as we have been, and I left my notes about my interview with Enoch locked in the building. And so I'm not prepared with a proclamation for him today, but I want him to know that we will recognize him. I'm very excited about acknowledging his accomplishments, and so we'll schedule that for June. We have item 4 on the agenda. Item A is 2020-585, ballot petition ordinance, second reading and adoption. At this time, I'll open a public hearing on 2020-585. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to council. Council, this is our second hearing on this. Are there any questions or any discussion?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Is there a motion to pass?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0.
We still just need to, I'm sorry, I was waiting for you. We had to read by title, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I was trying to get ahead of myself.
Move we
You want to
read.
read by short title?
I so moved.
Thank you. Is there a second to read by short title?
Second.
Thank you. All right, I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry, guys. Mr. Commando.
Ordinance number 2020-585, an ordinance of the City of Keystone Heights, Florida, amending Chapter 3, Administration,
Article 6, Elections, specifically Section 3-78, elections providing for
There was an audio issue with your short title. Do we need to read it again? Ms. Lynn, can you?
Mr. Commando, can you hear me?
Again,
Okay, there was an issue with your audio in the middle of that. It blew up. Can you please read one more time?
sure.
Thank you.
Ordinance number 2020-585, an ordinance of the City of Keystone Heights, Florida, amending Chapter 3, Administration, Article 6, Elections, specifically Section 3-78, Election Petitions, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Is there any discussion or questions at this time? Seeing none, is there a motion to pass 2020-585?
I renew my motion to pass.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ms. Marion, can you say aye again, please, for me?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0. Item B is item 2020-586, a zoning change at 135 Southwest Flamingo. This is a first reading. I will open a public hearing for this ordinance.
Madam Mayor,
Yes?
I do have the property owner on the line as well as a map of where this is located.
Okay, shall we take public comment and then we can bring it back to council and include him?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll open a public hearing now on item 2020-586, zoning change. Is there any public comment?
I have none at this time.
Thank you. I'll bring it back to council. Council, this is an item. I'm going to assume that Ms. Wachowski will explain what the petitioner is asking. Would you like to explain what the petitioner is asking, Ms. Lynn?
Absolutely. Ooh, absolutely. If you'll give me one moment and let me put up a map on the screen. That's not what I wanted to do. That's the wrong one. Hold on. We're gonna go here. Over here. Click on this one. Why is that? There we go. Okay, can everybody see this?
Yes.
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 Perfect. Let me blow this up. Mr. Sam, are you on the line?
Yes, ma'am, I am, ma'am.
Fantastic. Okay, this highlighted property right here, this is the living quarters of the old the volunteer fire department. Mr. Sam Nadler has purchased this and he would like it to be zoned back to mixed use, which is concurrent with the rest of the block, as well as this block over here and so within central business. The land use is already mixed use. And I will leave it to council to ask any questions of the property owner for intentions or anything of that nature.
Are there any questions?
Just out of curiosity, what is the intended use?
The intended use, sir, you kind of broke up. The intended use is just going to be a business rental. I just feel like that's a great location with the property and whatnot. I mean, I don't really have an intended use. I've done a lot of work and really updated the property, which I feel like a lot of the business rentals downtown are dilapidated and not in good condition. So I feel like it's a good asset to our business community.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown, any questions?
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment that the reason why it's institutional is because it was owner was the fire department, but he has done a tremendous amount of work on the building, and it looks totally better than what it ever has looked on the inside.
Thank you. Mr. Peoples, any comment?
No, ma'am. I'm just happy to see more business coming.
Me too.
Lynn, Lynn, off the top of your head, what would be some other uses would be permitted?
Within mixed use, it'll be similar to your downtown. It'll be offices, both doctors and attorneys, things of that nature, taxing agencies, things like that. Your office space.
Thank you.
Is that property included in the CRA?
No, I do not believe that is.
Ms. Kelly, do you have any questions?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Do you have any questions for Mr. Nadler about his zoning request?
No, I don't. I'm just glad somebody bought it.
Okay.
Would a motion to read by title only be?
I believe so. Is there a motion to read by title only?
Make that motion.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Commando?
Ordinance number 2020-586, an ordinance of the City Council for the City of Keystone Heights, Florida, amending the official zoning map for the City of Keystone Heights by reclassifying approximately 0.24 acres of real property located at 135 South Flamingo Street from the Public Land and Institution Zoning District to the Mixed Use Zoning District, providing for findings, providing a legal description of the real property, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Commando. All those in favor, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to remove.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. And our last resolution ordinance public hearing is item 2020-004, road closure, July 4th, 5K run. Is there a motion to read this by short title?
I'll make a motion to read by short title.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Commando?
Resolution 2020-04, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Keystone Heights, Florida, authorizing the execution of the Florida Department of Transportation temporary road closing permit application, providing for an immediate effective date.
Thank you. And this is a resolution needed for the applicant to apply for road closure. Is there a motion to pass?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Peoples?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Madam Mayor, Miss Carrie
Yes.
Collins is on the line. Miss Collins?
Yes, thank you all very much. I appreciate the city's support, and I'm excited to move forward with the event and have a great 4th of July.
Can you tell us a little bit more, Carrie, about the nature of the Jordan Cooper Memorial Scholarship Fund?
Sure. The Jordan Cooper Memorial Scholarship Fund is a nonprofit organization. It's a 501c3 that's approved by the IRS. And I founded it in memory of my niece, Jordan Cooper, who was a resident of Keystone Heights, and she was an ESE student at the high school. And unfortunately, Jordan passed when she was 25. So I founded it in her memory. And the primary purpose of the nonprofit is to provide scholarships for seniors, graduating seniors at Keystone Heights High School.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. And I'm sure you'll get with Ms. Lynn to get your signed resolution as soon as tomorrow. Is that right, Ms. Lynn?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I just need you to stop by and sign that.
Okay.
Great. Thank you so much.
Sam, know
You're welcome.
that we're done and hang up with him. Thank
Under
you.
presentation, Mr. Cornegay, you're going to give us an update on COVID-19?
I'd be happy to, Madam Mayor. Good evening, City Council and guests. I just want to very briefly touch on a couple of things. You may have heard or seen, we helped push out the announcement that the county started COVID-19 testing at Little Rain Park today. They tested from 8 a.m. to noon, and I believe the number of tests was somewhere in the 90s that they got done. It initially started out as an appointment-only process, but then I talked to John Ward, the emergency manager, and he said they were going to open it up for where they would take anybody. You did not have to make an appointment. So that worked out good for everybody. They'll be there again tomorrow from 8 a.m. to noon again as well. And then they'll move to other places in the county over the next 2 weeks, and then we'll reevaluate after that. As you all know, we started reopening, reemploying, and reuniting Clay County today in phase 1 of the plan. We drove around a little bit this morning to see how things were going at the restaurants and the various businesses, and there was a noticeable uptick in folks moving around, and the restaurants seemed to be all at least 25% full. So that was an encouraging sign. But we'll continue to monitor closely. As everyone knows, we do expect an uptick in the number of positive cases due to the increased number of tests. So everyone needs to be mindful of that, and it's expected, and we don't think it's anything to be overly concerned about. But that is the COVID-19 countywide update, and I would be happy to answer any questions if I can.
Scott, to have a test done, do you have to be symptomatic?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
You did. They waived that requirement, and now you can just go ask for test for free without symptoms. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. My dog was barking in the background. I was waiting until Harley decided to get through her fit.
Lincoln heard him.
Thank you. Sorry. He has a very loud voice. Somebody was at the door. Okay, we'll move on to our second presentation. It would be the tip presentation by Mr. Locklear. Mr. Locklear, welcome. In some extraordinary circumstances, we welcome you to the city of Keystone Heights.
Well, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Am I unmuted?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Okay. Can everybody see the presentation?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Locklear, are you still online?
yes, hold on. Let me, one moment, please.
Sure.
I'm ready.
Okay. Can you see the screen?
Hello, again, good evening, and thank you. My name is Milton Locklear, and I'm with the North Florida Transportation Planning Organization. As most of you know, the North Florida TPO is the independent regional transportation planning agency for Duval, Clay, Nassau, and St. Johns County. Next slide, please. One of the key responsibilities of the North Florida TPO is to develop the Transportation Improvement Program, better known as the TIP. It's a schedule of funding for transportation services, facility improvements within the region, roadways, transit, air, seaport, bicyclists, pedestrians, and the transportation disadvantaged. The TIP details the funding, the progression of these services and improvements through study, design, right-of-way, utilities, and construction over a 5-year period. Next slide, please. Public involvement is one of the most important components of this particular plan as we move forward. Public input and review is critical to the success of this program, and that's why I'm here. Any comments, questions, please forward them via Lynn or to my office. We do really treasure your comments. We need them, as a matter of fact. Next page, please.
Miss Marion, it says that you just entered the...
Our official public meeting will be Wednesday, May the 27th, between 4 and 5 o'clock. We're not sure if it's going to be in public or virtual at the TPO office, which is located at 980 North Jefferson Street in Jacksonville, Florida. Next slide, please. We're seeking an approval date of June the 11th at the North Florida TPO. This will be at 10 a.m., again, 980 North Jefferson Street. Next slide, please. The first project here is First Coast Expressway, State Road 23. Basically, it's going to be a little east of 16A to east of CR 209. Roughly around a little over $395 million has been dedicated for this particular section of SR 23. It's roughly about a 6.47, a little over 6.5 mile, a little less than 6.5 mile section of the SR 23. Again, as I mentioned before, it's roughly a little over $395 million. This is more or less the bridge section. Next slide, please. First Coast Expressway again, State Road 23. Now this is really from the section of St. Johns County, basically from I-95 over to US 17. This is primarily right-of-way funding. We're looking at 2021 basically, and there's dedicated roughly about $29 million for this particular right-of-way. Next slide, please. This is First Coast Expressway as well. It's east of, this section is going to be east of CR 209 to north of SR 23. We're looking at funding roughly about $4.6 million here. The section looks like approximately about a little less than 10 mile segment, and we've already spent around $209 million have been dedicated to this project, this section. This is the remaining project, or the total cost is going to be somewhere around a little over $213 million. Next project, please. SR 21. This is from Commercial Circle to SR 23. This is basically a resurfacing project from, I guess, the city limits heading north out to SR 26. It's dedicated roughly about $13 million for this particular project. The year and phase for construction is 21-22. Total cost is really going to be approximately $15 million. Next slide, please. The following projects are going to be air park projects primarily, and this first one I have listed here is for basically design and construction of a hangar. They're dedicating roughly about $150,000 for this particular project, and we're looking at year 24-25. Next project, please. Next slide, please. This is, again, an air park project. It's looking at the purchase of a tractor and a mower. We're looking at the year 2021. Approximately about $100,000 has been dedicated. Next slide, please. This is the airport master plan. This is funds for the update. The last one, I think, I got notes here, was finished in 2015, and this is funding to assist with the next update, which is being roughly, I think it's 10-year increments, and this funding is for 24-25. It's roughly about $650,000. Next slide, please. This is the air park again. This is design and construction of basically 10 units for the hangar. The funding is spread over roughly 2021 all the way to 2024. It's roughly about a little over $1 million for this particular project. And it's over like roughly about 3 years project. The funding is spread. Next slide. Keystone Heights. Air park design and construction of the taxi runway. This is the E, I think it's called the E. The section is noted here. There's funding here. I believe it's roughly about $1 million, looking at year 21 through year 22. It's basically a preservation project. Next project, thank you. This is for the fuel farm or the fuel pumps, basically for the jet fuel. It's for the truck itself. It's roughly about $300,000 is dedicated for year 24 through 25. Bear with me just a moment. My screen, I have a hard time keeping up with you.
Which slide would you like to, which slide do you need to be on?
I need to be on slide 15. I just did 15, 16, please. And this is when I just went over 17. This is the purchase of a new jet fuel truck. This is roughly about $300,000. It's dedicated for year 2040, I think it's in 2024 and 2025. Next slide, please. And those are most of the projects that we have in this particular area. Don't have that many in the TIP for going on right now for the 5 years segment that we're working at. But if there's any questions or comments, please, I'll try to take them and try to answer them as best I can.
Yes,
And
let me
thank
kind of go by count. Thank you, Mr. Locklear. Let me go by council people. Vice Mayor Hart, you're first up on my screen. Do you have any questions?
I do not.
Mr. Peoples, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Brown?
I do have a comment. I'm thankful that we have so much going on at the airport and it's being funded.
And Ms. Kelly, do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
If I'd like to bring in Mr. Kirkland, I know he's on with us today. Do you want to briefly explain your joy at all this funding? Express your joy?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Council. We certainly appreciate FDOT and the state of Florida Aviation with all of their assistance in these projects. We meet annually with our FDOT Aviation reps as well as coordinating with the FAA, and you may not know, but a lot of these projects that have been completed this year were actually planned 4 years prior. So we're always looking 5 years out, as was depicted in a lot of these projects of when those monies will be available. So we certainly, on behalf of the Keystone Heights Airport Authority, we're very appreciative of Florida DOT Aviation and excited about the funding to keep these projects in place and that will benefit the airport long term.
Thank you, Mr. Kirkland. Thank you, Mr. Locklear.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And if you have any comments, please send them through, maybe if Lynn doesn't mind, and then she could forward them on to me. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You guys have a good evening.
Thank you, you too. That concludes our presentations. We're moving to appointments for the Heritage Commission. Vice Mayor Hart, do you have anything there?
Yes, I do. Thank you. By way of background, the Heritage Commission is 12 years old, and the ordinance and resolution that created it required staggered terms in 1 year. The group has gotten a little out of sync, so part of what I'm going to be requesting is that we get back into sync. But we do have six people who coincidentally are all expiring as far as members, but they've all agreed to re-up. And I'm going to give you their names and then the suggested number of years that they'd be appointed. The council has reviewed the resumes of all these people. They've been appointed before, so I think we could hopefully do this as a group rather than having the formal resumes in front of us. Would that be acceptable, Madam Mayor?
It's acceptable by me. I'd like to get a consensus from council, though. Mr.
Okay.
Brown says okay.
Yes.
Mr. Peebles, you have a quorum.
I'm going to give you the names of the people that have agreed to continue, and following their name, the number of years we're recommending. Nina Rodenroth is one of our newer members, 3 years. Don Morgan, I think you all know Don, 2 years. Rob Blount, 3 years. Cheryl Owen, 3 years. LaDonna Hart, 1 year. And Helen Hersey, 2 years. That would be the recommendation of the Heritage Commission and my recommendation as well. And I would make a motion that these group of fine individuals be appointed as indicated.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Hart. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
We are moving on to the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from the April meeting, the financials from the March meeting, and the payables from the March meeting. I think what I'd like to do, let's see where it was. There was also in there meeting minutes from the Budget and Finance. Is that correct? It's not on the agenda, but I saw it in the packet.
There's meeting minutes in the Budget and Finance as a review of the Budget and Finance.
Okay, it should be on the consent agenda, correct?
That has not gone before the Budget and Finance Committee yet.
Okay.
So that's just a review of easier to follow on what happened in the Budget and Finance Committee.
Okay, so we're not moving on those even though they were in the packet.
Not the Budget and Finance, that's correct.
Okay, so then what I'd like to do is ask that we make a motion to move all three. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to do that.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. We are on to old business. Under old business, we have the Keystone Heights Police Protection. Mr. Cornergate, did you want to take that?
Yes, ma'am, although I don't have anything new to add. I don't know if Councilman Brown might have something he wants to share, but there's been, I haven't seen any movement since we met 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so we're going to carry it forward?
Yes, ma'am, unless there's more discussion, then yes, we would be moving it forward.
Okay, thank you. The second under old business is the city manager evaluation.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to request that this be moved to the June meeting. There's some paperwork we have to do yet, and I think it'd be better to do this face-to-face at a regular council meeting if we can.
Okay.
Our city manager, Scott, is very much in agreement with this.
Okay. There consensus that's we're going to let it ride?
Yes.
Okay. I see shaking heads. Trailhead plans and bid process.
Madam Mayor, if I may, we'll be meeting with our engineer later on this week, and then that'll be something that we'll discuss in the Budget and Finance meeting to move to the council meeting in June.
Okay, thank you. Committee reports. We do have meeting minutes in the package from our Budget and Finance meeting. I think we want to talk a little bit about the meeting minutes and prepare council for what is coming and what we're planning to do. I'll turn it over to Mr. Cornegay to allow him to a description on what we discussed.
For the, are we talking about the revenue shortfall?
Yes.
Okay. So when we met with the Budget and Finance Committee, we had created a spreadsheet that included projections, estimates on the revenue loss that we're going to have due to the reduced sales tax, gas tax, and other state shared revenue. So it was the decision of the Budget and Finance Committee to allow us to bring back recommendations and options for different projects that could be postponed until a later date or removed from consideration altogether, and which projects to move forward with. So that's what we'll be doing all this week, is putting all that information together for the Budget and Finance Committee meeting the following week, and then they will make their recommendations, and it should come back before you as a full council in the June meeting.
Anyone have any questions?
And just so you're aware, the 30% projection in lost revenue was a group effort among the other municipality managers and the county manager and the county auditor. And the best guess is 30%, and for us that means roughly $110,000 in lost revenue.
Does that guess include a change in the ad valorem? Reduction in mill rate? I know this is all crystal ball stuff, but because of the economy and so on,
it does not take into consideration any effect on ad valorem.
So it could be worse than 30%.
Oh, certainly it could be, but there again, it could be not as bad as 30%. Like I said, this is a very smart man and 5 other people's best guess is all it is.
Okay, so what we're going to do is Mr. Brown and I will review with staff and we'll bring it back to council for your consideration, and we'll have an extensive conversation at that time. All right? Mr. Vice Mayor Hart, do you have anything for growth management?
Excuse me, no report.
Thank you. Mr. Kirkland, we welcome you back.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have no update from the last meeting. The last report I had 14 days ago. Our FBO is still closed to the public. We are meeting, or when we have to meet is by phone. We do plan to hold a meeting tomorrow evening, and we will have less than 10 folks, and we'll do the social distancing. And Ms. Hitt has already worked out arrangements for public comment and calling in and managing that. So that's all I have at this time.
Well, thank you. We hope you guys have fun with all this virtual meeting type stuff.
Well, Ms. Lynn is doing a great job for y'all, and she's been a great help to Maria as well.
Excellent. Yeah, she's our technology guru now at this point.
Definitely.
On to planning and zoning. Anything else besides the resolution that we passed earlier?
Just a quick update, Madam Mayor. I do have a pre-application meeting with a developer that's going in commercial, and then we should be reviewing some tree mitigation plans from Clay Electric here in the next coming meetings.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor Hart, have you concluded the business of the Heritage Commission?
Yes, I have. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. We're under new business now. Item A is the interlocal agreement with Bradford County regarding the Keystone Heights Airport. Mr. Cornegay?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I spoke with Chairman Kirkland earlier today, and neither one of us have heard anything back from Bradford County yet. It's in their court, and we're waiting to hear back from them. So the best we can do is take it up next month.
Okay, thank you. And we have under item B, the sign ordinance waivers. And while this is not a real item yet, we put it on the agenda just so council would know. We have a group of seniors whose last year has been derailed quite literally in terms of as a group being able to celebrate and graduate with great fanfare. And so one of the folks at the high school called and asked me if it would be okay if they put yard signs with each senior picture on one side inside the right of way in front of City Hall as a way to get their seniors more visibility. So while, it wouldn't be a permanent thing, I wanted to bring it to council to see if you had any heartburn over allowing students to put yard signs in our right of way to celebrate their senior year.
Would that be in conflict with the existing ordinance?
Yes, yard signs are not legal in the rights of ways.
So, Madam Mayor, if I may, real quick, please. One of the requests that we've had a couple of requests, and they've all come from the school system, as far as the use of our electronic signs to get messages out, important messages out to parents, and then also recognizing some of the seniors. Now, these are against our sign policies in a normal situation, but I think that what's being asked of the school district is if we would please partner with them to, one, celebrate their seniors in an appropriate fashion, and then two, be able to relay some of these important messages. And they're asking for council to waive that at this time.
Yeah, just to provide some lenience to the rules while they while we try and make it through this phase.
Could this come under Scott's emergency powers?
I would,
I was just thinking the same thing, either the mayor or Scott, I think under the local state of emergency could waive those ordinances.
I think so. I think under the circumstances, that might be a wise approach rather than trying to tinker with the ordinance to look the other way. Just meet it head on and give Scott the authority to grant that permission.
I agree with that.
All right. I don't know that they're actually going to use it, but we wanted to put it on the agenda in case they come back to us and say they really want to pursue that as an element of the senior year. So, do we need a motion, Mr. Fando? Do you want a motion? You just want an agreement?
I think you have consensus and agreement.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Traffic, and I think traffic is covered under the emergency powers, is it not?
It is.
Okay. There you
go. All right, thank you. And so we are here at council comments, and I will start with Mr. Peoples. Do you have any council comments?
Nothing really much. I just wanted to know if it's possible for the Our Country Day, when we have the 4th of July parade, maybe to make a spot for any seniors of this class who want to maybe march in the parade and carry a banner or whatever and say, here we are, this is us. So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay. I can take those comments back to OCD because I attend. Mr. Brown?
Just a personal comment. I've communicated over the past year about my daughter in law school. In her last week of finals, she's got 2 more, and she'll have her first year of law school under her belt.
Yay!
Yeah, really.
Good for her. Vice Mayor Hart?
Just congratulations to your daughter, Tony. Been there, done that, and I know that's a real nail biter. But those 3 years go fast.
I'm just happy she's in Virginia, not here.
Well, probably could have been a Gator, but never mind. I have nothing. Whereas I've been a lot of yard work done. That's about it.
Okay. I do have a couple of things. Even though we only met 14 days ago, there's been a number of things that have taken place since we last talked. I wanted to share that the community grows stronger in the face of some, pretty steep adversity. Trinity and First Baptist churches partnered and gave away 300 food boxes donated by the Florida Baptist Convention at Keystone Beach. And there was a wonderful blend of pastors and heights, and they all both looked the same virtually. And there was another new event, which was sponsored by Montgomery Camp and Operation Barnabas. And it was a drive-in community prayer service, which was really wonderful out at Camp Montgomery. If you haven't been out there lately, I highly recommend taking a drive because they really have begun to revitalize the camp. And it's looking really, really, really pretty. And the road is paved all the way to the camp now. So that's wonderful. The Keystone Safety Net Alliance had 2 food distributions, one at Gray and one at Keystone Elementary. We didn't think the one at Keystone Elementary was actually going to happen, so that it did at the last minute was wonderful. There was lots of bananas. We gave away many, many, many bananas and other papaya. It was wonderful. And there was another invitation-only distribution where before, this is food that we had purchased and we're packaging together for families. We had started with the number of 40 every week, but now we're up to 125. So those in need are really, their needs are being met. And that's from a list of 500 people, over 500 people who have self-identified as needing some kind of service or more food. So we're really proud of that. Seniors continue to receive lunches and breakfast from the Alliance. And I know that Trinity Baptist held a fundraiser last Friday for Lake Erie Ministries, and they did a fantastic job of collecting more canned goods for the food bank. And so if you bought a barbecue dinner there, I thank you because you contributed. And in the middle of all this, I just want to recognize that this is Teachers Appreciation Week. And while they aren't with their kids right now, they're still very meaningful and part of the education process. And so to all of our wonderful teachers, I hope you enjoy your virtual Teachers Appreciation Week. And then I do want to say, you know, I'm deeply blessed to be employed at this point in time, and that fact does not go unnoticed. And so I would ask for each of us to lift up those who don't have a job, because I'm hearing stories of folks who held jobs for long periods of time and they're gone now. And I'd also, again, like to encourage people to support local businesses, because this is one of those times in life where they supported us through the funds that they've given us for our fundraisers, and it's really important for us to help support them. And with that, I will go to the city manager, Mr. Cornegay. Yes,
Madam Mayor, if I may, real quick, we do have Councilwoman Kelly on the line.
Yes, thank you, because I can't see your picture, so I forgot. Ms. Kelly, do you have any words of wisdom today?
Councilwoman Kelly, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, but I can't hardly understand y'all.
They're asking for any council comments. Do you have any update?
No, I don't have anything. No, thank you.
Are you doing well?
I'm doing better. I'm not completely well yet.
Okay.
Well, no, we just want you to get better, Miss Marion.
All right, thank you very much.
We love you, Marion.
I love y'all too.
Mr. Cornegay, would you like to start us off?
Certainly. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to give a brief update on what we're looking at in terms of reopening here at City Hall. We're going to take a close look at the numbers over the next 4 days. And on Friday, with conjunction and coordinating with the other municipalities in the county, we're going to look at start moving back into some sort of normalcy with a limited reopening of the lobby here at City Hall, under, of course, the CDC guidelines and restrictions. And then next week, we'll probably start putting our public works crews back together and moving forward that way. Once again, adhering to the social distancing and other guidelines that are set forth. But we do think we need to wait until the end of the week, just so we can get a better idea of what the numbers are going to look like, with the intent of doing a conservative reopening a week from today.
Thank you. Mr. Commando, do you have any words of wisdom?
No, thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, could I back up for a second? Scott, you said the testing was today and will be tomorrow. How long will it take for those numbers to be folded into the state numbers? Because I've been following the zip code designation. Right now, we apparently are under 5.
Yes, sir. Currently it's within 24 hours.
Okay.
Thank you. Ms. Rakowski, you're not on the agenda, but we need you to be. Do you have any words of wisdom?
I apologize. I shrunk that line so it could fit on one page. So the Northeast Florida League of Cities dinner has been canceled for May. The Sheriff's Net has been canceled for May, and they'll reevaluate come June. Outside of that, I do not have any additional comments.
Okay, thank you for those. Anything for the good of the order? Any last minute question, comment?
No.
And seeing none, meeting is adjourned.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.